All right, welcome to tonight's edition of Hopcat Presents Local Spins Live at River City Studios. I'm John Sinkovich with LocalSpins.com that covers the West Michigan music scene. We're pretty fired up about tonight's special guest because the Outer Vibe has long stood out, in my view, as one of West Michigan's most popular rock bands, and 2015 is shaping up to be perhaps the group's biggest year yet. The band recently released an EP called Pass It On, which I found to be a truly innovative marketing approach, and they just returned from South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and they plan to release their next full-length album, Full Circle, at the end of May. This is the fourth installment of Local Spins Live at River City. It's a series that showcases some of the region's most compelling artists and emerging acts. We want to thank Roy and Austin at River City, everybody here, the video team from Grand Valley State University, Hopcat, and everyone who helped sort of fashion this unique evening of music and conversation. As I said before, you'll be able to listen to the podcast, watch the video from the event next month at localspins.com, so keep an eye out and pass the word to friends who aren't here tonight. Let's start by introducing members of the Outer Vibe. We have Nick Hosford, Lisa Kakos, Sean Z, Andrew Dornoff, and on the drums, Noah Snyder. The newest and youngest member of the band. I do find it interesting that you guys have titled your next studio album Full Circle, because the Outer Vibe certainly has come full circle over the years, at least since I've known you guys, and you've progressed and gone beyond the sort of music that you folks first started making way back when. I was thinking of Nick and Sean when I found this album in my collection way back when, you know, going quite a few years back, and then of course there was something called Monster EP as well. And they progressed through to, like I say, their most recent EP is called Pass It On. So I'm thinking Nick and Sean in particular, when you look back at the early years of the Outer Vibe, what do you recall most vividly about the band at that time, and what sort of music were you making?
Back at what time? It's been a lot
when
of
you
times.
started.
When we started? I think we had no idea what we were doing. And we still
that was
might
the
not.
best part.
That was the best part, yeah. And that's what we're trying to get back to. We're trying to forget everything and get back to knowing nothing. Because sometimes that feels really good.
There's a certain amount of experimentation and excitement that comes through just guessing. And I think that we made a couple records and we learned a lot of stuff. And then we realized that there's things that are the most important things in music are not necessarily the technical and the details and the knowledge, but kind of the feeling and the experimentation. You know, we kind of listened to a lot of records and found that some of that is what really we liked most in all of our favorite records, was the experimentation and kind of the excitement more than the precision. So we learned how to be precise. We experimented, we learned how to be precise, and then we're kind of been trying to find that perfect balance.
So do you guys remember your first gig and where it was?
Westwood Ranch?
It was the Westwood Ranch.
Wow, Westwood Ranch. Now
Open mic
Shots,
night.
yeah.
Open mic night. Yeah, now it's called something else.
Shots,
It changes
yeah.
names every few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place goes bankrupt more than we do.
Were you scared? Were you nervous? I mean, how has that changed from obviously performing so regularly now?
We didn't even know enough to be nervous. We thought we were the best band in the world.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah. Yeah, our high school friends were
there.
there.
People there. They were supportive. We played, probably sounded terrible, and they all cheered. It was a success.
Yeah.
First gig, you know, everybody was there to support us. You're in your hometown, you know, everybody in the crowd's a familiar face. It's very different than going to Austin or something like that and playing for it. You don't know anybody there, and you're right there. They're there to give you a listen. You're there to win them over, I guess, or to prove your music's worth them listening to. So it's very different, but.
Well, that's been a lot of years, and since that time, you guys have honed and polished your performances amazingly so. In fact, when I look at the Outer Vibe, I consider you guys sort of the ultimate in terms of knowing how to perform in front of an audience. You know, you stand out as a very entertaining rock band. The fans understand that. They come to see your shows. They know not only the way you interact on stage, but also the way you dress. I mean, I've seen the Outer Vibe's wardrobe closet, and let me tell you, they have one, and it is full of very colorful outfits, interesting get-ups. Do you guys view your rock shows as theater, so to speak?
Not so much.
I think that we've noticed that some of the acts that we really appreciate over the years it's an act. You know, they have a look and they have a sound and they have an image.
And they put on a show.
And they put on a show. That's been a lot of, the classic acts that we've always looked up to, we've admired. So, I mean, there's great songwriters and there's great entertainers, and I guess the goal is to be both. So.
Well, you guys are certainly bold. Lisa, you come from a background, too, that is not just honed in pop necessarily, but when you guys are performing live, what's the feeling that you get, and do you sort of feed off the energy of the audience, or do you guys have a pretty well set way that you're going to handle certain songs?
We're always just really excited to perform no matter what the show is. And yes, we do feed off an audience's energy. Definitely. And we like to give it right back.
Yeah. Well, let's get a little taste of that live atmosphere. Let's hear your first song. What are you going to play for us to kick things off?
I'm going to kick it off with a song called Shining Like a Diamond, which is on our Pass It On EP. And also we have a music video for it, which was shot in the Badlands of South Dakota. So kind of get that Badlands feel.
Lying diamonds and gold, when pressure takes its toll, we shine. Bruises and stains, some hard to explain, they're mine. With my lady at my side, my boys at my back, I can't be stopped. Not a dime in my pocket, I fly like a rocket, laser guided to the top. And I'm shining like a diamond. And I'm shining like a diamond. And I'm shining like a diamond in the night. My dreams can't be sold, what you throw away, I call home. All your Hollywood glitz eclipsed by a smile from my soul. And you can keep your bankrolls, your luxuries and laws, oppress me. My treasure is my work, from the sweat and the dirt, from the holes in my soul, and I'm sorry to be told. And I'm shining like a diamond. And I'm shining, shining, shining like a diamond. Throw your diamonds in the fire, watch them burning brighter. I feel like he will never tire, but I'm feeling higher. Left it all behind, Someday I'll become dust, but my love will never rust, tarnish or fade.
Thank you.
What has always impressed me about the Outer Vibe is you make it seem so effortless when you're on stage. What I think, and I know that several of you have some pretty impressive music credentials. You get several of you have degrees in music and master's degrees, and I'm wondering, in terms of that training that you've had, that professional training that you've had, how does that shape your songwriting and your performing?
I would say the biggest benefit of our training is actually the language that we're able to communicate with musically. You know, when it comes to writing songs, you know, we all speak the same language. We all know what a 1 chord, a 5 chord, a 4 chord, and so on and so forth. We all know how to, you know, pick the right key and transpose it when needed, and you know, and of course Lisa, being the theory whiz, she can always correct us. So yeah,
I think
it's a
the
big
other
part.
thing too is, regardless of genre, whether it's pop music like what we do in the band or classical from our training and our background, the best advice I ever got is you learn by doing. You get better at something just by doing it, so you get better at performing by performing. These two have played 1,000 shows together, so they've gotten pretty good at playing a show, I guess.
But is there something in terms of having the technical expertise as a basis that maybe, is that one reason why maybe your band stands out maybe from other groups, you know, maybe in this area or elsewhere?
I mean, it definitely makes a difference being able to do what you want to do on your instrument. It makes it so that you hear something and then you can actually physically do it. You know, that makes a huge difference.
It's cool that we have a lot of tools at our disposal, because like we've practiced a lot, and we've you know, gone to school with amazing players on every instrument. We've seen people like total virtuosos, you know, have spent time with them, and that's really been great for experimenting and trying things. But at the same time, you know, carving a sound for yourself, you kind of have to do what you do and do it well. So it's been great for us. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's been great for us to have all this like skill, learned, trained, technical skill, and then at the same time, it's like there comes a point where you kind of have to shut it off.
Right.
You know, it helps, and then it's going to get in the way at some point. It's
So
like
Noah,
your favorite artist is best at what they do, and they do it the best as anyone in the world. They're what, you know, it's them. You know, B.B. King is B.B. King. No one will play like B.B. King. No one will play like Slash. But are they the best? Are they super technically, you know, flawless? They're them. So it's been good. It's helped us kind of get to where we are now, and now we've realized that there's like something else too to music. So
Noah, you're the newest member of the band. When you joined
Yes, sir.
these guys, you already knew what their capabilities were. Was it daunting for you to be part of something that was already sort of established, and what makes them special in your view?
Absolutely. You know, I joined this band, and before that I had been roading for a year. So I absolutely believed in them before I had even picked up an instrument and played. And, you know, thinking about it now, I kind of always deep down wanted to play with them. And I never got the chance because I was doing sound and moving gear. And, you know, the other drummer was here. Jeff was playing still. And it is daunting, you know, coming in and, you know, I met Nick because he was my recording tech professor, and I thought he was a really cool guy, you know, like a mentor type position for me in my life. And then being in a band with that person for the first, you know, 6 months was kind of like, ooh, I got to get better at playing music, or I can't keep up with these guys. But, you know, I've sort of filled the position, I think, and hopefully they'll keep me around.
yeah. He's taller than me, so that helps. You know, it's
Right.
like, yeah.
And as if you guys aren't energetic enough, Noah provides that extra burst of youthful
I have been
energy.
described as squirrely.
And our spiritual guide.
I don't know about you, but he's feeling 22.
We talked a little bit about, obviously, the teacher-student relationship. Some folks here probably are aware that the Outer Vibe has long helped foster another generation of rock and pop musicians through your summer rock camps, which I've seen, and I think you do an amazing job of not only teaching teenage musicians sort of how to play together, but how to perform in front of an audience, how to market their skills and their music. When did you start conducting these camps, and why do you continue to host these things, and why is that important to this band? Because this makes you really stand out in my view.
That began in the summer of 2009 through Michigan State University, and they approached us about it, and we said, sure, why not? Let's do a School of Rock thing. That'll be fun. And we did it, and it was really rewarding. It was a lot of fun, and we were amazed by just in 4 days of rehearsal what these kids could do. And so the camp has grown a lot since that first summer, and now we do one here in town as well. And it's really rewarding for us to do. We always look forward to it. You know, it's a fun way to spend a couple weeks of the summer, and it's a good way for us to give back to the community that has supported us for so many years.
Do you see that the kids respond to someone who's already a professional musician playing in a rock band versus maybe a gray-haired, teacher who's, sitting in a band room somewhere in high school?
I feel like they respect the fact that the 5 of us that teach the camp are a band, and so we actually practice what we preach, I suppose.
It's also great too because they go up and do it for real. They're up on the same stage that we're on, and it's really cool to be able to share that experience with the kids. To actually be on the same stage that night. It's the kids definitely want to do a good job, and they're like, "Wow, that's a really big stage, and there's a lot of people out there."
I think the camp is based on mentorship. So a lot of people, their band director in high school and choir director is influential, but it's in a different way. We're teaching them, but we're mentoring them. If I'm going to show someone at rock camp how to play something, I'm going to be like, yeah, man, like this. And take his guitar and play it, or her guitar, and then give it back to him and they play it. And so it's a different type of education than like the band director, So maybe it's age, maybe it's we're in a band, but I think it's just that kind of teaching. That's why
Sure.
it works well. I mean, it's amazing how far those kids come in a week.
So they look up to you, the Outer Vibe, perhaps as an influence and as an inspiration. What bands do you guys look at and say, the Outer Vibe is not necessarily striving to be this band, but what bands do you respect in the industry who really sort of do the sorts of things you guys really want to ascend to?
It's hard. Many of them, there's a few new ones, but a lot of them are very
Classics, yeah.
classic bands. Yeah, I would say.
We'll always look at Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. We watch a video, be like, wow, that's how we want to perform.
That's a show.
That's a goal. That's how you put on a show.
Or like
those kind of things.
the Beatles, how they would spend so much time in the studio
Their
just
songwriting
wow.
abilities.
experimenting and
That's songwriting.
Yeah, it's
Jimi Hendrix was a show.
Yeah. The goal to be able to have, the funding, or at least a
The
fraction of the
resources.
funding and resources that some of these artists had to create the art they have created. That's something that we strive for.
Yeah, like sometimes you see the spectacle of those bands' live performances. Queen, like we said, Bruce Springsteen. It's
Pink
like we just
Floyd.
loved it. Yeah, Pink Floyd. To someday have the resources to be able to put on shows like that. Like you said, you've seen that. Yeah, we have a wardrobe and we try to put on a show, but man, if only we had just say it and it happens. That would be. We've seen. It seems like those bands, some of those bands that have that. That'd be kind of one of our goals.
So you guys are going to be unveiling some new songs from the upcoming album tonight. So let's hear a couple of those songs and introduce them and let us know a little bit about the backstory.
Sure. This song is called Waits for Me. And I guess the backstory, it really could be taken any way, the lyrics. One of the easiest ways to say it is kind of like when you really pour everything you have into something, and for instance, a band. I guess certain things will wait for you, in time. You can't have everything at once, So it kind of goes along that principle of the good things in life will wait for you if you just continue to follow your dreams and, be good to people and all the karma stuff. Waits for me.
I've got a woman named Destiny, with a flower in her hair. She waits for me, and there's a home, maybe in Tennessee. I've never been there, but it waits for me. And there's a heaven, or so they say, up in the clouds, baby, or in the Frisco Bay. I've never seen it, no, but it waits for me. Alright, I'm saving up for my salvation by treating my brother right. It's gonna be a celebration when the dark turns to light. And there's a family and a family tree. I've never met them, but they wait for me. Yeah, they wait for me. Yeah, they wait for me. Alright, I'm saving up for my salvation by treating my brother right. It's gonna be a celebration when the dark turns to light. And there's a heaven, or so they say, up in the clouds, baby, or in the Frisco Bay. I've never seen it, no, but it waits for me. It waits for me. It waits for me. And there's a memory, if I stay true, and when I'm gone, it'll wait for you. It'll wait for you. It'll wait for you. Whoa, it'll wait for you. Thank you. My local spins pick. Alright, this song is called Take It Slow. It kind of goes along with that idea of kind of getting away. We spend some time every year out in South Dakota, like I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of those towns where the population is smaller than the elevation number, so this was the inspiration for this song. Here we go. Gone by rich 'Cause all this technology will be the end of me, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I'm going to a place where the elevation is higher than the population. I'm gonna take it slow. I throw out my cell phone, I know it's helpful, but I don't want it anymore. So if you want my time, send a hand sign, letter to my bungalow. You can reach me somewhere between intoxication and Southwest exploration. I'm gonna take it slow. I'm gonna take it slow. 'Cause back in the day, there was a little more mystery. Tall tales and dreams, let imaginations run free. But now it's all high-speed media, four-speed television, HD, sex with your PC. Take it slow. I'm gonna take it slow. Come on. La, da, 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 da. Hey, la, da, 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 da. Woo. La, da, 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 da. La, da, 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 I'm gonna take it slow. 'Cause back in the day, there was a little more mystery. Tall tales and dreams, let imaginations run free. Take me back to a simple time and space so I can recognize my own face.
So you guys have been playing a lot of stuff from the new album tonight. This new album that's coming out, what is different about this project versus all those other studio recordings you guys have made? And was there a mission, a theme, a real something you're trying on this project that you haven't done before?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things actually. Theme. There was a mission and a theme. I think there was times in the very beginning we were searching for a producer, and there was a producer who said, "Well, you know, what are you going for?" And so we sat down and played all the songs that we, as a group, agreed that we really love, all the sounds, all the feel, you know, and we created kind of like a mood board of what we wanted to do, what we all can, you know, what would all be happy doing as a whole. And also, we hired a producer for the first time, a guy who came out from San Francisco named Brad Dollar, and flew out here and kind of gave us that other perspective that we were missing, and helped us kind of take a step back and just, you know, be the musicians while he steered the boat. So that was a big part of it.
Does that take the pressure off, in essence, when you guys are self-producing?
Yeah, I think well, not only does it take the pressure off, but I noticed that I listen to our songs and we haven't wrangled them to death, you know. We're, as kind of like perfectionists, sometimes in the studio we tweak and tweak and tweak and try to make something out of, you know, nothing, or, you know, or basically make something different than it should be. And having somebody come and go, no, you know, take this approach and you guys take a step back and I'm going to mix it and that kind of thing. And now we really enjoy the songs more than I think we ever have.
Yeah, and like just having someone there to go, that's the take.
Yep.
Instead of us doing 50 more.
It was
you know.
it was great too, having somebody be able to capture what we were doing versus us trying to like create something while we're playing. You know, having somebody there to just get what we were doing was a huge part of bringing out Brad.
And in the
our producer.
process of looking for a producer, we interviewed half a dozen guys or more, and we settled on one who we thought would be a good fit with our group, both, you know, personality-wise, but then also, I guess, his philosophy on just capturing the sounds and the energy and the overall mood that we wanted to go after was very important to us, and Brad was the perfect fit for
Brad
that.
actually was probably the least known producer out of the people, you know, like a lot of the people were like, they have Grammys and they've worked with all these big artists. And then Brad's like us, he listens to the same music we listen to. He's kind of, it's like another one of, it's interesting. It was like, he's not in the band, but he felt like he was always in the band, you know? So
Yeah, sixth band member.
he's a sixth band member for us, even though he didn't win 5 Grammys.
Yet.
But yet. Yeah.
He will with your album, right?
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of people might not know is that you guys several years ago built your own recording studio, and it's a magnificent studio. I always wondered, why did you guys take the step to develop your own studio? And now I know you're recording some other bands as well, but what makes that sort of work for the Outer Vibe?
It's also a rehearsal space in our HQ, and it kind of is, it's cool because then it has a culture. So we have a place that we're in all the time that's our culture and our environment, which again can be a double-edged sword because then we're super kind of cut off from the world. We're just doing our own thing. So now we go play shows and people are like, you guys, I know you don't sound like anybody. I don't know any band that sounds like you. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably because we've been in our studio making our tunes and we flew someone in and they work with us. And so that I think that's probably a big part of what lends us to being the Outer Vibe and kind of not sounding like anyone else, you know.
In that vein, marketing for you folks, I thought, has always been a strong point too. Even with this most recent EP called Pass It On, very cleverly, you made 1,000 copies of this, you gave them away to your fans and told them, download this, keep the music, but pass this CD on to other people, sign it, and give them to your friends. Is marketing really something I think a lot of bands sort of forget about? Because clearly you have to brand yourself, you have to market yourself, and is that sort of a special thing for Outer Vibe too, that we also have to find a way to get our music out to people?
I would say it's a product for us of like seeing we've opened for a lot of really big bands, and we've seen why are they this very renowned band, and that's a big part of it usually. Not that they're not all great, but there's a ton of great bands. But what separates, at a certain level, what separates the known from the unknown bands? Well, it's marketing, and we've been DIY for a long time, so we kind of had to go, well, we want people to know about us. What should we do?
Yeah,
We're up
I
here
mean,
in Michigan.
as far as like pass it on, like there is a marketing aspect to it, but really we just want to have people listen to these new songs. Like
Yeah.
we're really passionate about this new music and what we've done in the studio in the last year, and just having people hear that's important.
That was the number one idea behind Pass It On, is we really love the music and want to just get it out to people.
And it's also kind of a precursor to the new full-length album that's coming up, so it's a little taste of what we've been doing, just 4 of the new songs.
Yeah, it's really cool too when we hand the CD to people, and I explain every time. I always explain, you put it on your CD or on your computer, sign it and pass it on. And on our website, there's actually a map, and it shows, currently where a bunch of them are, and they're in China, they're in Australia, and so just that it makes a lot of fun for the audience and the listeners. And another thing that we have begun is we've created our own genre of music. We're the self-proclaimed world's premier surf disco band.
Surf disco.
Surf disco, yeah. So it's a whole new thing. I think your kids are gonna love it someday. And yeah, it's just kind of people always ask us, well, what kind of music do you play? Oh, it's got trumpet, and just you can go on and on if you want to describe music, but you say surf disco and they're intrigued. Or sometimes we add cinematic because Lisa adds that cinematic trumpet to the whole bit. But so cinematic surf disco.
We had
That's
a
described.
listener at a show in Chicago recently come up and he goes, "Your music sounds like I'm at a Quentin Tarantino dinner party."
Yeah, and then we actually had another part of that where it was Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Clint Eastwood at a Quentin Tarantino dinner party drinking a pina colada while Dick Dale is performing.
I love
Sums it up.
Yeah, so I try to sum things up that way.
Well, let's open it up to the audience with some questions. I want to hear from some of the fans and maybe some of the other people, questions that, maybe we aren't answering here.
It could be personal questions.
This is it.
I've got one. What's the songwriting process? Do you guys come up with the music first, the lyrics? Is there an inspiration? Do you hit a riff when you're screwing around? I mean, because you have a very unique sound. Where does it come from?
Yes to all of those.
Sometimes it comes out of the ether. Sometimes we're just sitting and, like with like rose-colored shades. One comes in with a bass line, dun, 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 and then we all just start playing. And that one just kind of like fell together all of a sudden. Like that was like the fastest, easiest song we ever wrote, and we're really happy with how it turned out. And
That's the
then-
song we're about to play.
Yeah, and then other things are more structured, where somebody will have an idea that they bring in and say, "This is a song that we can play together," and then we all just get into it. It really just depends. Music is kind of like an ethereal thing that's hard to define and where it comes from, and we're just lucky enough to be able to do it. I
But
guess.
is there a lead lyricist, so to speak, the word person?
Not
No,
really.
I mean, a lot of times, anyone is fair game. Anybody who wants to create lyrics is there. But because I sing them, if we're 80% there or something like that, I usually take it upon myself.
He's
to
the one
just
who gets the
complete it.
headache. He's the one who gets the headache over the lyrics towards the end, where he has to. he has
I
to
stress
tweak 'em.
over it the most, but at the same time, I'm always open to go. Okay, I'm stuck. Help, and then everyone kind of puts in their own little bit. And sometimes some of my favorite songs are the ones that everyone kind of contributes, because that way I know that it's a topic that kind of applies to all of us, and that way applying to more people who are listening.
Anybody else? Yeah, they're not scary people. I'm curious, though, too, when you talk a little bit more about the songwriting, how do you know when the song is finished? Is that how the producer helped?
In a way,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, when,
Yeah.
when the producer's like, don't change it anymore. It's good where it's at.
Right. You're done.
We've struggled with
done.
that in the past a little bit, wanting things to be perfect, just right. Like, oh, maybe it needs something else, or maybe it needs less. And we would just toss around ideas, and you can toss around ideas infinitely, and one might not be better than the other.
Yeah, for every CD we have and for every recording we've ever made, there's at least that many more that we never put out, I would say. Probably. So it's really good to have someone go, that one's done, instead of us working it until we just kind of go, we don't even know what to do with it anymore, you know?
Yeah, we probably have another dozen songs that never became anything from this last recording, you know.
Just from this last one, yeah.
Recorded a lot of demos and just a lot of ideas, and then just kind of settled on a few of them.
And it's funny sometimes, like the producer, his favorite song would be, you know, when we first met Brad, oh, I like this one the most. We're like, we hate that song. We don't even know why we wrote that song. And then we work on it, we like it more, and then all of a sudden his favorite one changes. You know, so it's an interesting process.
There's definitely a point, like when we're in the rehearsal room and like everybody's like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Like,
that does happen, aha moment.
Kind of like with the next one, actually.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's hear the next one. What's the next tune?
It's called Rose-Colored Shades, and if you are familiar with the term, it's just basically looking at life and seeing, you know, the good as opposed to the negative, and the bright side of things. So looking at life through rose-colored shades.
Have you heard him say, all you need is love? I will draw you a picture of my view, of me and you in my rose-colored shades. And sometimes I'm surprised we're still hanging on. Brush off the dirt, we still stay strong, heads high. We march on like a parade. Ooh yeah, ooh yeah, 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 yeah. Have you heard them say these are the glory days? So much love, so little pay to trade. We'll miss so badly someday. June on the side of cities burning down. At the bottom of the barrel is our resounding joy. When you look through rose-colored shades, yes, archery, felicity, a summer day, your smiling face, the bridge starts, the doors unlocked. Come look through my rose-colored shades. Have you heard them say all you need is love? I will draw you a picture of my view, of me and you in my rose-colored shades. Yes, archery, felicity, a summer day, your smiling face, the pretty star, the doors unlocked. Come look through my rose-colored shades. Come look through my rose-colored shades. Come look through my rose-colored shades. Come look through my rose-colored shades.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very impressive surf disco tune.
Thank you.
the band has an incredibly busy 2015 ahead. I know a little bit about what you guys are up to. You're heading out to California. Tell us a little bit about the plan for the next several months and maybe what the rest of the year is shaping up. You've got that new album coming out at the end of May, and I'm sure there's a lot of traveling that's going to be involved too.
Yeah, we're actually heading in April out to California for a month. We have shows in LA, in the Bay Area. We're going to be doing a music residency and good old-fashioned artist residency at Zoo Labs. We go to a large recording studio with accommodations and a chef and a laundry room and a team of people to just kind of lock the doors for 2 weeks. And we go in there and everything from songwriting, making new recordings, strategizing about promoting the band, strategizing about band mechanics, and how to be as creative and efficient as possible. So we're pretty excited for that. That's going to be a really unique opportunity that we applied last summer, and we were accepted from artists from all over the nation.
And then we come home from that, and we have a few weeks to get ready for our CD release party for the Full Circle album, which is Friday, May 29, here in town at the Intersection. And then upon the release of that, we're going to kick off a summer tour, going to all the states we visited already, such as Colorado, South Dakota, and then going beyond, probably back to California. I think even some of the inner states like
Arizona,
Nebraska,
Utah.
Arizona. We're going to go all over the place, push our music as far as we can.
Do you guys
Oh,
have
yeah.
areas now, since you've been out west, you've established an audience in the Midwest in some states? Are there favorite cities and audiences that are going to show up who've really embraced the outer vibe?
Yeah, and they're growing. I mean, there are becoming more cities. Of course, surprisingly, we do well in Green Bay, Wisconsin, South Dakota, be Rapid City, South Dakota. We actually had a great time in Dallas, Texas, just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I don't know.
We just
what
like to
else?
play
What else?
shows where people are.
Goshen, Indiana.
Goshen, Indiana. Yeah,
Akron, Ohio.
yeah.
We like to play shows where people are really getting into the music and enjoying it, having a good time. We feed off of that, like we said earlier. So, pretty much anywhere where people appreciate a new band.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that's going on for 2015 is we're involved with a company called Tinderbox Music, which is pushing our songs, or basically sending our songs to college radio stations all over the country. And so the goal is by September 2015 to start hitting up all the colleges and doing like a national college tour.
And they're also taking the music to cable broadcast networks like MTV, NASCAR, the Discovery Channel, all that sort of thing. So working on television sync placements as well as more airplay. The song's already Shining Like a Diamond's getting played in Ohio and other
Soon to be
other states on AAA. And Waits for Me, the song we just played, is another forerunner for radio airplay. So a little bit of college, a little bit of radio airplay, maybe get a
Commercial,
song in
yeah.
a commercial or a TV show here and there, ride around in the van, wear the van out, travel
Yeah.
the country. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Also the plan is, once September starts in Michigan, to not come back until
April.
May, in May of 2016.
Oh, that's not fair. You can't leave us here like that.
We'll be back.
We'll send you a postcard.
Yeah. With that
It
in
does
mind,
get cold here.
with that in mind, have you guys sat down and come up with like a 5-year business plan for the outer vibe, or is it really too difficult to do that far in advance in terms of where you'd like to be in 5 years?
We have.
Yeah.
We've done 1-year plans, 3-year plans, 5-year plans, and it's always changing and evolving.
So far, the only thing that holds true on those plans is that we're still alive. That's the only
That's not true, though.
Yeah, actually, we thought it might help us if one of us died, actually.
help our career.
Yeah. Put us on the map. It's got to be a cool death.
Yeah,
He blew up.
Gotta be a manly
you try
death.
to plan, and then things are so random. Some of the most random things happen, and so your plans. There's oftentimes, like for example, if you plan, don't limit yourself. So it's hard to plan 5 years out. It's hard to, you got to be careful not to limit yourself with your plans.
But we've set goals for things like,
Yeah.
okay, so obviously we wanted to put out a new album, so that's being accomplished right now. That's almost here. We would love to tour the world. maybe that's a reasonable 5-year plan. Who knows though? Maybe that's next year. We're not
Right.
sure. We'd like to do a world tour. We'd like to, winning a Grammy's on the list. That'd be sweet.
It's hanging on the studio door.
It is actually we for inspiration, motivation, and then also just traveling more, which we are doing. So it's neat to set goals that are reasonable and then see them accomplished. But then who's to say the bar is not high enough? You never know what you're capable of.
We do like to see the world, meet new people. So.
And put surf disco permanently in
Yeah.
Wikipedia somewhere, right?
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, it'll get there.
Yeah.
Another thing we're trying to do is actually spend next winter in Trinidad.
That's also a goal.
I'll go with you guys too.
Yeah, looking for a corporate sponsorship.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it up. So what are you gonna take us out with, the Outer Vibe?
This is the title track to the new album, Full Circle. On and on we run from where we're dying from. Well, maybe it's your wife or belligerent bosses, maybe getting old from natural cause. I heard a man say, you leave this world the same damn way you came on in, bald and wet, bloody and streaming. Well, it's time I say I come around back to my ways. I've come full circle, yeah. I used to believe the only thing I'd ever need was a fridge full of fruit and rum, slip-on bands and the sun. I was jerked around, ended up in the lost and found until a voice from a distant place blew up on it in my face. Well, this time I say I come around back to my ways. I've come full circle, yeah. I've come full circle. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada. Sometimes I'm afraid my brain looks like a panty raid. The garbage shoved into my face looks so good I forget to taste. And then it don't take long till it's regurgitated in this song. Now everybody clap your hands, come on and sing along. Well, it's time I say I come around back to my ways. I've come full circle, yeah. I've come full circle. Hey. right, I know it's Wednesday night, but I don't care. You guys had some beer. I need you to sing along with me. Hey, it's Thursday. Feels like a Wednesday. Here we go. I say yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 yo, yo, whoa, yo, yo, whoa, yo, 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 whoa, yo, yo, yo. I say oh, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. It's time I say I come around back to my ways. I've come full circle, yeah. I've come full circle. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Pina colada. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our first audience participation song is part of this series. Thanks so much to the Outer Vibe for being part of Hopcat Presents Local Spins Live at River City Studios. Thank you, audience, for being part of this as well. Keep an eye out at localspins.com for the podcast and audio from tonight's performance. You'll be able to hear yourselves on tape. And also, I'll be announcing it through Twitter and Facebook, so check out the Local Spins Facebook page as well. So thank you very much for all being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.